this industry is full of little moments that you forget sometimes, right? I guess life is like that, right? You think back on it, you're like, wow, that was amazing, and maybe you didn't celebrate it the way you wanted, or maybe it didn't grab a hold of you the way you wanted. I see it happen all the time. I'm lucky enough to have it happen with the stable a number of times. Obviously, you saw it last year with Sintra winning the Gold Cup and Saucer, and a number of times throughout. Even just driving through Kentucky the other day, it showed me. This game always continuously reminds you how lucky you are to be in it, right? And driving through Kentucky and seeing all the big farms and knowing that, this is what we're in is a great feeling. And yesterday, I'm sure for Scott Zeron, it certainly didn't go unnoticed, winning the Little Brown Jug. And I know, he was down in the dumps a little bit when we were in Lexington. Being a driver, especially at that level, is so hard because it's such a sink or swim game. It's dog eat dog, and it's so tough. And he got beat with a couple of favorites in Kentucky, and he was dragging his lip around. And I asked him if he wanted to go out and get something to eat. He didn't, just because he was pouting. But that's not me making fun of him. That's me, showing you that here's a guy that won the Hamiltonian North American Cup, and he takes his job so seriously that he has a bad day one day in Lexington. He's almost punishing himself. But at that level, you have to always be razor sharp. Always. And if you're not, there's going to be somebody happily waiting there to take your job. And that literally is how being a catch driver is, and most definitely is at that level. So congratulations to him. Understanding the stress level that those guys are. And I see it with my brother Mark all the time, and James. I was never really at that top level where I was expected to win the Breeders' Crown or the Little Brown Jug. Just happy to be there. Did my job, won some races, and I was a good foot soldier, and still am for argument's sake. But Scotty, I was so happy to see him win yesterday, just because I knew what's always at stake for those guys. So congratulations to him. Very happy to see him win the Little Brown Jug, and it had nothing to do with an elevated purse and everything to do with the prestige of winning it. He already won it once with Michael's Power, I believe, way back when. But to see him win it was very uplifting. Somebody sent me a note today and said, I hope everybody recognizes, the type of guy Scott Zeron is. Remember, I had somebody looking at one of our horses, and they're going down the list. They said, Anthony, is this line correct? Did Scott Zeron go to Northfield Park to qualify your 2-year-olds? I said, well, yeah, he did. we talked him into it. So to have I'm not going to jinx the kid, but for him not to get Driver of the Year honors now after winning the Hamiltonian, the North American Cup, and the Little Brown Jug would be hard to digest, I think, at the very least. So, being surrounded, my grandfather always said, I say this to my son and my daughter, as it pertains to school, but mostly in life, you're only as good as the people you hang around with. And if you continue to hang around, I know when I was growing up and coming up as a caretaker and a trainer, I always tried to work for the best trainers. I always tried to drive for the best trainers, so that didn't work out as well later on. But always be associated with good quality people the best you can. And, Scott and Megan, really all our trainers, worked their butts off to do well in this industry, and to see Scotty do well, although it had really nothing to do with us. But to see Scotty do well was definitely uplifting. So that was Delaware for us. A huge week, I can tell you this much. As I left, unless my ears failed me, when I left Delaware County Fairgrounds after winning with the Colts on Wednesday, I believe they announced Jason as the leading trainer. 5 wins, which is hard to do because you can't get all your horses in. Everybody descends on Delaware, but it's all these singular. Virgil will have a few horses in. Even Ron Burke will have a lot in, but, he'll have a lot of horses entered. But it's hard to win an abundance of races in the Delaware County Fairgrounds. And unless I'm incorrect, now I'm sure somebody surpassed him, but unless I was incorrect, Jason's 5 wins had moved him into the lead of trainers for the week. after Wednesday. Now, if that is correct, I'm sure he was surpassed on Thursday. Maybe I'm wrong to begin with. But we did have a great week, right? What a Mission bounced back. I told you he would. I knew, we had pretty quickly recognized the issue with What a Mission. Yes, he was in an easier race, but he still had to win it. And the issue was we had taken the flip-flops off him. Now you see how fickle, they're looking for cards. They're cracking down. My wife carpooled with me. Hers is in her car. Thank you, dear. Have a great day. She doesn't believe me. She thinks I just smuggled you in like you were breaking out of a jail. The What a Mission thing, it's hard to explain how these little tiny things can make a big difference. You look at What a Mission's races. He was a big contender in his last two races where, well, maybe not the Sire Stake, but he never usually runs. And made a break easily twice at the gate, and in the first turn on me the next week for no particular reason at all. And then the other day, here you got a deeper half-mile track and absolutely no issues for Brett. Blasted out of there, got away good. Yeah, we lucked out. The horse on the front made a break, but it was not to say that we couldn't have run him down anyway. It was no slam dunk we were definitely beat. No, it was going to be a tight one, but we won because he didn't make a break. So What a Mission bounced back great. Coupe de Ville looked great again, although that was a fair win. Yes, I get it. Although it was a fair win, she still bounced back very good. I wonder where I'm going to park over here where everybody else parks, I think. I'm just going to drive around. Nah, I don't want to be around the shit bins, right? You just got a car wash. Yeah. I was going to, but again, you're still around the bins. I'm going to park on the other side of the park. So, Coupe de Ville race huge again. Really just jogged. I love to watch this filly race now. Because, I drove her when she just got beat. That was a heartbreaking loss. Still bothers me. But the determination she felt when she was racing was amazing. And to see her improve as a racehorse is pretty uplifting. So those two bounced back great. Bounced back really well. And then to have Irresistible Sun come out, you knew there just something was off about him on in that consolation race. Just something that was a little bit off. Just wait, you're in a rush? Stay here with me.
You probably want to help.
They're fine.
I have no input on your video, so why do I need to sit here?
Well, you choose not to have input here. I can't have
You talk too much.
Excuse you. Now you have input. Waiting for your input.
I don't have any, that's what I just said.
Well, you can wait. There'll be an opportunity for you to have input. We're going to talk about Kentucky in a minute. So, Irresistible Sun, you knew there was something up with Irresistible Sun in that consolation race. He just wasn't himself. That was Irresistible Sun on Delaware County Fair Day. He was amazing. Gypsy Hill, again, Amy and I joked about it, but you don't know. You have to understand, for those of you that are horsemen out there, you'll understand. We had a curb crowd on that horse 8 days before he raced. Now, go back and watch his race in Scioto. Now, he was in tough. He was in the final. And I told you guys after the race, if I had a straight line to the wire, I'm fourth. But I couldn't drive him. He's on the right line so hard because he popped a curb right behind. It was very painful. So to cool that out, and a great job by the caretakers, to cool that out, have the vet cryo it, and then for him to go out and race the way he did in Delaware, straight as a string, not on the line at all, and won pretty handily as he pleased. An impressive race for him. That's his last race of the year. So on that tone, I'll end the Delaware segment with just how exciting it was to be there. I got to go over the tent on the last day. Now, obviously, Born to Dance made a break, but Born to Dance needs to grow up and mature mentally. And that's not a dig on him. He's not being mean or rude anymore. He wasn't the other day. He just skipped off leaving the gate. He was getting out of there, and he just put a step in and looked left. When you make a break going into the first turn, there is no one in any hurry to give you a lifeline and say, oh, sorry, Anthony, here, you go on in. No, especially not at Delaware County Fairgrounds. He was out the whole way, but watch the end of the race. He's coming on again. He passes the horse on this side, and there's a horse stopping in front of him, and I had to knife him to the left to get around him going through the wire. So he didn't end up his race or his career tired, and 1:55 is a good mile for him. I expect him to come back and be a pretty useful horse for us at 3. So Delaware County Fairgrounds, the Little Brown Jug Week, a great week for us. Better week for Scotty, obviously, but a great week for us. On Wednesday, 2 wins in 2 seconds. Coupe de Ville won. What a mission won. I mean, Smokey just threw the outside. Not much you can do with that. But a fantastic week for us. Jug week. Kentucky ended up just before that. Really, on top of that, a great year for our Arson was absolutely amazing in Kentucky. Now he'll go to the Bluegrass next Friday. For those of you looking to go to Kentucky, Amy and I are heading down to Kentucky a little early this year because we're going to go race Pickpocket, Memory, and Imagination on the Thursday, what's that date? The 28th? On the 29th, we're going to watch Arson race in the Bluegrass Stakes. Saturday, we're going to start going over a little earlier and looking at some babies. Sunday, we'll be looking at everything. And then Monday, all the fun stuff starts. Our show will be on display in Lexington again this year, and all the babies we're looking to get into. Now, the buckets are up now. I am going to start sending in emails and making phone calls today to get people involved and start scooping up chunks of the Lexington buckets. So I want everybody to understand that as we move into Lexington, I'm going to do my best to sell out the buckets the best I can, because if I sell out the buckets, that allows me to do the work I need to do in Lexington. So there's that. The same thing as I went over with you guys in Ohio. And, the whole point, the whole goal is to get the horses that we want, right? Put our string together for 2024 as we look back at 2023. Now looking back, yesterday we raced Born to Dance, absolute euphoria again. Not really suited for a half-mile track or 151 on a half-mile track. Did what she could. Again, never disappointed with that filly's racing. She's always been a real good horse for us. Absolute euphoria, Born to Dance, both didn't do that well. Neither got a check. And then we went into Ontario, and this is exactly why. I got a call from somebody, a message from somebody saying, I think Winter Bells should have been better than she was this year. Okay, it's great. I think all the horses that don't race great, we all fall in love with them. Here's the problem with thinking the horses should have been better. You don't know the horses, right? You never sat behind them. You didn't train them. You didn't race them. You just watch them train down and then have formed this bond with them. I do it. You do it. It's a human nature. You form a bond and you believe that horse should have been able to do what they can do. We have lots of horses. Every stable has lots of horses that they believe should have been better than they are. Winter Bells went in 156 as a 2-year-old. Great Bet took a mark of 155, I believe, and paced 52 and 4. Nice 2-year-olds. But as you can see, we had a nice 2-year-old last year also in Gandalf the Black. Now, for the people out there too concerned, Gandalf the Black has made $69,000. I just looked it up. He's only got 3 wins. He's going to be coming to the States now. And the only problem I had with Gandalf the Black is I should have brought him here 6 weeks ago. And I know people thought, oh, he is good enough to be in the grassroots. No, he's not. When Winter Bells is sitting 27th and gets into the grassroots semifinals and finishes last, should we really be shocked? And that's not making fun of the horse at all. But should we really be shocked? Great Bet is not one of the top 10 or 20, I guess, horses late in the fall. That doesn't mean they're bad horses. They've both done okay this year. They've both taken lifetime marks. They've both been pretty decent horses, but they are not top echelon grassroots horses. This is the problem with Ontario, and it's not an Ontario problem. It's just it's deep racing, tough racing. It's tough everywhere, but man, it just seems like it's really tough there sometimes. But again, to have Gandalf the Black make the money he did and do as good as he did, you just have to navigate the jurisdiction a little bit better. Now, I don't regret entering those horses in the semifinals. It was either the semifinals or the field. Now they can go to the field. And I know somebody else had said, well, they can race in the Harvest Series. No, they can't. How can they race in the Harvest Series? I just clicked on Winter Bells' race yesterday, went through the field. From 5th down to 10th have all made less than $30,000. That's just one division. I'm sure the other division looks very similar. There'd be no point. We cannot continue to race horses where they don't belong. Now, you're going to have to. The Winter Bells and the Great Bet, they belonged in there, just like any of our horses would race in the Bluegrass next week. Memory and Imagination and Pickpocket are going to go on the track, 10, 12 to 1. But we're going to race them. There's horses that win long shots all the time. Scott Zeron won Little Brown Jug at 7 to 1 yesterday. He belonged on the track. People generally lean towards the rail in the 2-hole in the Little Brown Jug because those horses were winners in second. Scotty drew 4, I think, and ended up winning the Jug. So you can win them, but you have to be a competitive horse. You have to be a competitor in that race, not just a contender, I mean. Not just a competitor, not just somebody who's on the track, but a horse that actually belongs there. You tell me why your horse should go on the track, and if it's just because they fit the class and they're a long shot, then you've probably done the horse a disservice. The driver, the trainer, all our clients. We've done our best to get away from that, right? You see that. It's not like I've magically become a better driver. My driving average is 355 or something, 354 right now. Because we're racing our horses where they belong. Jason McGinnis's average in Ohio, or overall, I think, is 370. And it's tougher in Ontario. Harry Polton had an explosive year last year, but the same horses are the ones we get this year, right? The Little Red Horse wasn't as good to start out. Locatelli struggled a bit. Sintra struggled a bit. That wasn't a Harry Polton issue. That was the horses. And that's not their fault. But we need to move those horses around a little bit more. I'd sent all gas, no brakes home because he looked like he belonged. And we will buy horses for Ontario. We'll move horses to Ontario. But for right now, we have to recognize what fits. Stop trying to fit round horses into square pegs. Round horses into square holes. You can't do it. You need to put the right tool there for the job. And we talk about this, and we do a pretty good job of it, moving all our horses around. You saw it when we moved Stay Close over to the States, right? And it is harder to import into Ontario, but we're going to continue to do that. And take nothing away. This isn't me ragging Ontario. Ontario, Mohawk in particular, is the Meadowlands of Canada. You're not just going to roll in there and beat up on Richard Moreau and Carmen Osiello and, Rob Fellows, those guys that do good consistently at Mohawk. You're not going to do that. Pick your spots, pick your horses. We'll get on rolls again, but expecting Resolute Bay to dominate again in 2023 the way he did in 2022 towards the end of the year is not fair to Resolute Bay or Harry Polton or us, for that matter. So that's where we're at with the horse. And everything I just talked about for the last 5 minutes, you guys already know. We've already gone over this. So, doubling down on that, moving the horses out that are struggling right now. The 2-year-olds like Winter Bells and Great Bet will go to the field. Insider Trading, Lonely Lakewood, they went to the field last week. Pull the Shoes went to the field last week. We're going to bring these horses back, and they're going to be very competitive 3-year-olds also. If they're sire stake horses, or they're grassroots horses, or they're overnight horses, as long as they're competitive, as long as we have places to race them where they are one of the contenders, that's all we're asking. So, with that, I am going to, what do we got today? Do we have much on the go for today? No, just Mel Gibbswan tonight. Now, I see he finally drew good. He drew the 3-hole in the Madison County going for $100,000. So that's a big race for us tonight. I can't wait to watch that race. Good luck to all my partners, Ronnie Wren, Ronnie Burke. We have a lot coming up. A lot of people asking me what's going on for the fall. I'm not certain yet. That book is still being written in respect to Pickpocket, Memory and Imagination, Arson, Tactical Mounds, a number of other horses that, that are looking in that direction. We'll see if they're going to head that way soon enough. I think most of the ones I just mentioned will. But for next week, we have the Bluegrass coming up. We have for Arson, Pickpocket, Memory and Imagination. And then as I looked, it looks like Pickpocket will have the International Stallion during the sale, on the Friday of the sale, which is pretty neat. That's the first time I think we've ever raced a horse during sale week, isn't it? Am I interrupting your Facebook time?
I could have had a few stalls done, but you made me sit here.
Oh my God, will you stop? This is the first time we've ever raced a horse during sale week, right? Those other horses raced before. I don't think we've ever raced a horse during Lexington week.
No, I don't think so.
Oh, was 3 Point last year? Was he doing that week? Or did he just qualify?
He qualified.
Yeah, right.
And then he raced in Indiana or somewhere.
Right, Indiana, you're right. So, obviously front and center from here on in, at least for the next 10 days. Look at these two. Look. Who you got there? Your Freedom Hill. How was she? Freedom Hill's coming in. We're gonna go with all the babies. Just here with the. She always has the stupidest things on. She's the
Because
hood.
her helmet doesn't fit.
Yeah, well, she got a
helmet
different
doesn't
helmet.
fit. It's
She got her
not hers.
turtleneck. She got her
I think
hood on
it's
it.
Jason's.
Neathead. The front and center is going to be the sale next week. So the buckets are up for sale right now. I am going to be moving hard to get all those sold out. Amy and I are going to be in Kentucky next Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then the sale begins. So a lot of work to be done over the next little while. A lot of racing going on. We have horses being turned out. We have some horses coming back in. We have a number of horses racing in different jurisdictions. Now, if you've done the quick math in your head, you realize that I cannot be in Lexington on Thursday and in the Meadows. We have our whole open pacers and all the horses that are on fire right now racing over there. The Keystone Classic for Spitfire Overseas is also next Thursday. So we are likely, I asked my brother Mark, listen, I know it was a little rough the last time you went, but you do have Spitfire in the Keystone Classic if you want to go. If you don't, that's fine. But if you want to go, all those horses, Patrick the Piranha will be entered. Now, I can't guarantee you they're going to get in, but Patrick the Piranha is going to be entered. Stay close in the open trot again. A number of horses will be racing in the Meadows next week. So hopefully, Mark seemed warm to the idea. So hopefully you'll see him there again next Thursday and Friday. So with that, a little long video, really not about anything else, just outlining what took place. How happy I was with Little Brown Jug Week. Happy for Scotty, but happy for us too. A big week for us. Lexington coming up, where I'm going to be next week, where I'm going to be the end of the week, and everything in between. So with that, I am going to let you go. I hope you guys had a wonderful Jug Week also. If you were at the Jug, you did. If you're watching, you probably did also. But better still, and more importantly, I hope you have a better week ahead. Take care.